Good evening, everyone. Welcome to NTD Tonight. I'm David Zhang. Here are some of today's top stories. A half-scale model of the Vietnam Memorial Wall stands at the center of attention in Southern California. Why build a memorial wall that travels? Friends and family of the military honored America's fallen heroes today. NTD is more from the 100th anniversary of a Memorial Day tradition in California. This year marks the 35th year since the Tiananmen Square Massacre. NTD hears from participants at an event in San Francisco on why the deadly crackdown shouldn't be forgotten. Today is Memorial Day. President Biden joined a wreath-laying ceremony and delivered a Memorial Day address at Arlington National Cemetery.
We gather at this sacred place, at this solemn moment, to remember, to honor the sacrifice of the hundreds of thousands of women and men who've given their lives to this nation. Each one, literally a chain and a link in the chain of honor, stretching back to our founding days. Each one bound by common commitment, not to a place, not to a person, not to a president, but to an idea, unlike any idea in human history. The idea of the United States of America. Today, we bear witness to the price they paid.
The president's remarks come just 2 days after he delivered the commencement address at West Point, where he pointed to the United States' role as the indispensable nation, the world's only superpower, and the leading democracy in the world.
Freedom has never been guaranteed. Every generation has to earn it, fight for it, defend it in battle between autocracy and democracy, between the greed of a few and the rights of many. It matters. Our democracy is more than just a system of government. It's the very soul of America.
A wall usually doesn't travel, but this Memorial Day, one wall did. And while most walls keep people out, this one brings people together. NTD's Bill Thomas checks in to tell us more.
On a cloudy day at Smith Park in the Southern California city of Pico Rivera, a half-scale model of the Vietnam Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C. stands at the center of attention. For folks who can't visit the East Coast to see the original wall, one Los Angeles County group is bringing that wall to them. We spent some time with Pamela Ugar, Parks and Recreation Director with the City of Pico Rivera, and she shared with us some vital information regarding this very important wall.
38 years ago, this wall was erected in Washington, D.C., and a lot of people are not able to go to Washington, D.C. to see the wall. So this organization, the AV Wall organization, donates their time to bring this to cities around America, and we were fortunate enough to be chosen last year.
According to Gabriel Castorena, communications supervisor with the City of Pico Rivera, this is not the only memorial wall that travels here in the U.S. There are other ones as well.
This organization, this is only one of 5 in the United States. This wall here is one on the West Coast.
I met with Stacia Nemeth, who is the treasurer and volunteer coordinator for the Mobile Vietnam Memorial Wall, also called the AV Wall, and she broke down the wall's travel itinerary for us.
It travels at least twice a year. Sometimes we've done 3 a year. We don't travel consistently because we are strictly a small volunteer group of people who do this out of the kindness of our hearts.
Building this wall was no easy task. It took time, effort, and money. Stacia tells us more.
This wall, this is a memorial that was created in the Antelope Valley, and it was by local citizens of Palmdale and Lancaster. Contributions came from our community, from our school children, from large corporations, and it took many, many more years than we ever imagined and many, many more dollars, but the wall was built and its initial display was in 2009 in the city of Palmdale. And since then, it has traveled to many communities in Southern California.
Moving this wall from one location to another is no easy task, and it weighs in at close to 2 tons. It's solid, heavy, and expensive, but Stacia says they have ways of recouping their building fees.
It cost us $102,000 to build, and then a community rents it So they pay a rental fee for it, and it costs $7,500 for them to rent it for their 5-day display.
Traveling with this wall can be difficult, but at the end of the day, it's all for a very good cause.
Every time we display our wall, something new happens, somebody new comes to share something. We've created relationships in every community that we go to because it's very healing for the family members to come and see this and know we haven't forgotten the sacrifice of their loved one.
George Palermo, a Vietnam War veteran who also works with the AV Wall organization, tells us what this wall means to him.
A traveling wall brought me home from Vietnam many years ago, and to be involved with this and be part of it is just heartwarming for me.
Palermo took some time to share with us the meaning behind the various symbols on his unique bomber jacket.
There are numerous meanings. This is a symbol of Point Man, which is the group that sponsors this wall primarily.
Like his jacket, the wall also displays a number of images, and Palermo explains the significance of many of those markings.
The wall has different symbols on it. There's a diamond, there's a cross, and then there's a cross within the diamond. The diamond means that they were killed in action and their bodies were recovered. When the wall was first built, the cross meant they were either missing in action or prisoners of war. If you look at the 3 flags back there, those are 3 of my guys that died in Vietnam.
On the wall, there are also 44 sets of brothers, 3 sets of fathers and sons, and 8 nurses. Palermo told us one of these nurses was working in a hospital that was hit by a rocket, which tragically killed her and 45 Vietnamese children. If you'd like to learn more about the mobile Vietnam Memorial Wall and where it will next be on display, simply visit the website avwall.org. Bill Thomas and Jimmy Ma, NTD News, Los Angeles.
Mountain View Cemetery's annual Memorial Day commemoration is a family-friendly event and a way to honor the men and women who gave their lives serving the country. NTD's David Lamb reports.
Let freedom ring. Memorial Day is a long-standing tradition in our country. We're paying respects to the people that have given their lives to fight for our freedom.
Families and veterans across the nation today honor the men and women who died serving in the military.
My father was in the Army, my oldest brother was in the Air Force, and then my other brother was in the Army.
The Mountain View Cemetery in Oakland, California holds its family-friendly 100th Memorial Day event.
I've played it many times, knowing that it's one of the most significant types of ceremonies when you play the taps.
That's all part of the tradition. Some of these songs we've been saying for hundreds of years, not longer. They all kind of contribute to the legacy of Memorial Day that we try to keep going.
Originally known as Decoration Day, it was established 3 years following the Civil War. Many Americans observe Memorial Day through cemeteries, memorials, family gatherings, and parades.
Figuring out who those people are in your neighborhood, those people that fought in war, that contributed something to their military or to service, and to talk to them and learn their stories. Really telling stories, I think, is the best way we can kind of keep this tradition going.
Lieutenant Colonel Seehauer says the fallen heroes are never really forgotten when there's a way to remember them through the Memorial Day commemorations. Reporting in Oakland, California, David Lamb, NTD News.
The 35th anniversary of Tiananmen Square Massacre is coming up on June 4th. Activities to remember victims of the deadly crackdown have started being held around the world. NTD's Jason Blair went to a commemoration event in San Francisco and heard from attendees why remembering this day is important to them.
So I'm here in Chinatown in San Francisco. A group of pro-democracy activists have gathered to commemorate the 35th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square Massacre. Now they have signs posted with some information about the event, and they're also going to be cleaning the Goddess of Democracy statue to commemorate the victims from the massacre. On June 4th, 1989, an estimated thousands of pro-democracy protesters were killed by the Chinese Communist Party in Beijing.
Now we came here to clean the statue of democracy. We want to memorize who died for us, and we want to carry on, to continue to fight for the freedom and the democracy of China.
It's the 15th year this event has been held in San Francisco and is the first of 3 planned for the area.
I speak for the freedom and the democracy. I think this history shouldn't be forgotten and recovered up.
One participant wants more people to know what the CCP did to the protesting students in 1989 and things the CCP is still doing today.
The Communist Party, the government in China, took our all property with no reason. They just took our all assets. So we don't have any place to complain about this. We can only to escape from China to be here.
The CCP maintains strict censorship in China of any mention or even allusion to the event or the date June 4th.
George Orwell, he writing the book about 1984 and Animal Fair. It's actually is real world in China.
The Goddess of Democracy statue in San Francisco's Chinatown is a replica of the one pro-democracy students erected during the protests in 1989. Since then, it's been a symbol of standing up to the CCP and totalitarianism around the world.
Everyone should have the right to pursue the freedom and the democracy.
More events and vigils will be held around the world on and leading up to the official day of observation, which is June 4th. Jason Blair, NTD News.
We'll take a short break now, everybody, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come back. Severe storms kill at least 20 people in the southern states. More on the recent destructive storms. This could be a record-breaking Memorial Day weekend. Just how many people were passing through U.S. airports the last few days? The NCAA has agreed to a multi-billion-dollar settlement for college athletes. Find out what the lawsuit and potential payment are for. Those stories and more coming up on NTD Tonight. Welcome back to NTD Tonight. I'm your host, David Zhang. At least 20 people were killed when powerful storms and tornadoes tore through Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas over the weekend. A resident of Valley View, Texas, describes the horrors he saw.
And then when I got here, I checked on them, and they were like, "Come help us! These guys down here, they're dying and they need help. That their family's already dead under the truck." And when we got there, the lady was laying under the truck, the kid was under the truck, the little girl was on the side, and her dad was screaming in pain. And he was like, help me, like take me to the hospital. So
the storms inflicted the worst damage in a region spanning from north of Dallas to the northwest corner of Arkansas. In Texas, winds reached an estimated 135 miles per hour. At least 7 people were killed in the state. About 100 people were injured and more than 200 homes and structures were destroyed. 9 million people, mostly in Tennessee and Kentucky, were under flash flooding alerts. According to PowerOutage.us, roughly 500,000 customers were without power this morning in Kentucky, Alabama, West Virginia, Missouri, and Arkansas. The risk of severe weather is moving northeast today. Powerful storms will move through Tennessee and the Ohio Valley before heading to the Carolinas, Pennsylvania, and New York. The latest estimate out of Papua New Guinea is that more than 2,000 people were buried alive in Friday's landslide. The remains of 6 people have been recovered so far. But the International Organization for Migration hasn't changed its estimate that 670 people died. The group is leading the international effort out of Papua New Guinea. The country is requesting international help with rescue efforts. The disaster occurred in a mountainous interior region, where lack of telecommunications and tribal warfare are hampering rescue efforts. Transporting relief workers and aid requires a military escort. Plus, the muddy ground still poses dangers, and major roadway is covered in debris. Local villagers are divided on the use of heavy excavation machinery, since it could further damage the bodies underneath the rubble. Villagers have been using shovels and farm tools to excavate. This could be a record-making Memorial Day weekend. Passenger traffic at U.S. airports is on pace to make this the busiest Memorial Day weekend in history. That's based on the latest screening data from the Transportation Security Administration. Friday was already #1 screening day in TSA history, with nearly 3 million people. More than 2.4 million people passed through TSA checkpoints each day this weekend. This could be a precursor to a chart-busting summer of travel. More and more people are now traveling in airplanes with their pets, and so companies are beginning to cater to that market. Take a look.
This Memorial Day weekend, some flyers are taking their furry friends with them.
Come here, come say hi, say hello. Olive. She just celebrated her 80th flight this last week, actually. She has been all over the United States, but we've been to Charleston, Seattle, all over California. We've been to Colorado, Idaho. There's tons of places all over.
More pet owners are opting to fly with their pets rather than leave them at home. A survey done by the American Pet Products Association found that the percentage of pet owners taking their dogs on planes almost doubled from pre-pandemic days and almost tripled for cats. Even with the growing demand, commercial airlines have many restrictions on pet air travel. Pets have to fit in carriers underneath the seat in front of their passenger and weigh 20 pounds or less. For bigger breeds, they have to fly in cargo.
We only did it twice and never again. I would never put my dog underneath the airplane again. You're given no insight into what the conditions are underneath the plane. Is it cold? Is it crowded? Is he being shoved in with other luggage? We have no idea whatsoever.
According to the U.S. Department of Transportation, airlines reported 7 incidents involving animal deaths in 2022 and 8 deaths in 2023. Companies such as Bark Air and K9 Jets offer an alternative for pet parents. However, it comes at a hefty price. Owners and their 4-legged companions can fly in private jets together out of their crates on some routes across the U.S. and internationally.
I think the most luxurious thing for both the dogs and the people is that they're together. They're part of the family, and the dog's really happiest when their people are around, and they usually brighten up their people and make them happier as well.
Prices start at about $6,000. That includes treats, on-air entertainment, playtime with other dogs, and Bark Air includes a doggy spa treatment.
There's so limited ways to get the bigger dogs across the country or to a different country. Even though it seems like a big cost, amortized over how many times we fly and how much time I get to spend in California with my kids out there and then coming back here, it's well worth it.
Poor parents will keep exploring the world with their companions.
She's so calm during turbulence. I'm actually more scared than she is. So I love how well she handles takeoff.
And in major sports news, the NCAA has agreed to a historic $2.8 billion settlement for college athletes. Let's take a look.
The NCAA and the nation's 5 largest conferences have agreed to pay a nearly $2.8 billion settlement. This decision marks a significant shift toward a more professional model for college sports, aiming to compensate athletes for the opportunities they lost under previous NCAA rules. The settlement is still pending approval from plaintiffs and a federal judge. It promises to pay out $2.77 billion over the next decade to roughly 14,000 former and current college athletes. These athletes claim that outdated NCAA regulations prevented them from earning money through endorsements, Among the original plaintiffs are former Arizona State swimmer Grant House and current TCU basketball player Sedona Prince. The financial burden of the settlement will be shared across various tiers of Division I sports. Looking ahead, the settlement introduces a pioneering revenue-sharing system for college athletes. Starting as early as fall 2025, hundreds of schools across the country could be impacted. Major conferences like the Big Ten, Big 12, ACC, and SEC could commit up to $21 million annually per school to directly pay athletes. This new system is expected to cost around $300 million per school over 10 years. However, this shift raises numerous questions about implementation. The NCAA's current rules will need substantial revisions, and schools opting out of this financial commitment could face competitive disadvantages. Smaller schools in particular are concerned about how the reallocation of NCAA funds will impact their budgets. This money would typically be distributed to 352 Division I schools, but will now be redirected to cover the settlement. One notable change on the field could be the switch from traditional scholarship limits to a focus on roster sizes, allowing wealthier schools to extend financial benefits to more athletes. This could further enhance their competitive edge, forcing schools to make strategic decisions about their investments in various sports.
Stay tuned for China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer coming up next. A concerning trend, more Chinese and Russians attempting to breach U.S. military bases. More on China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And that's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like you to join us again on NTD Tonight every weekday at 9 p.m. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.